when we talked, you mentioned that you had presented to the President certain options, and we didn't discuss what they were. I would just like to ask this question. How do you view the President's decision with respect to bringing home certain troops and maintaining others for the rest of the time prior to 2014?
If I could, Madam Chairman, perhaps I could just walk through the process, because it was quite a one, although in a brief period of time, included 3 meetings. After the first meeting, I was given a homework assignment, which I answered by the second meeting, and then the third meeting was the one in which the President ultimately reached a decision. The responsibility of a combat commander in that kind of situation is to provide options to the President to implement his stated policy, and that's what I did. Associated with each of those options was an assessment of risk, the risk being assessed in this case from my perspective, a risk having to do with the ability to achieve objectives of the military campaign plan, acknowledging that at every level of the chain of command above me, there are additional considerations, and that each person above me, all the way up to and including the President, has a broader purview and has broader considerations that are brought to bear, with the President alone in the position of evaluating all of those different considerations, including certainly those of the commander on the ground, but also many others as well, in reaching his decision. I provided such options. I provided assessments of risk. I provided recommendations. We discussed all of this, again, at considerable length. The President then made a decision. The Commander-in-Chief has decided, and it is then the responsibility, needless to say, of those in uniform to salute smartly and to do everything humanly possible to execute it. Now, as Chairman Mullen, Admiral Mullen, stated today before the House Armed Services Committee, the ultimate decision was a more aggressive formulation, if you will, in terms of the timeline than what we had recommended. Again, that is understandable in the sense that there are broader considerations beyond just those of a military commander. The fact is that there's never been a military commander in history who has had all the forces that he would like to have for all the time, with all the money, all the authorities, and nowadays with all the bandwidth as well. So there is always a process of assessing risk, and it's typically, in a case like this, as the Chairman put it today, risk at the margin. We're talking about small differences here, albeit significant from a military commander point of view. And so that's how I would lay out, again, the process that took place, the very good discussion. This was indeed vigorous. All voices were heard in the Situation Room, and ultimately the decision has been made, and with a decision made, obviously I support that, and will do all that I can during my remaining time as the commander of ISAF to implement it, to set up General Allen to do likewise, so that we can achieve the objectives of the campaign plan, and then also, if confirmed as the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, to do the same from that position as well.